Now, I remember the night of the first Brexit crisis. I was covering it on camera with Stuart Varney through 3 a.m. in the morning in June 2016. It was one of the most dramatic, volatile, and downright scary trading sessions of the last decade. U.S. markets plunged to 10-month lows. The S&P Global Broad Market Index lost more than $2 trillion in market value. Trading halts were triggered. Here's what happened today. The Dow went down triple digits. It did retrace. Joining me now is the director of the Heritage Foundation's Thatcher Center for Freedom, Nile Gardiner. Nile, I mean, this isn't looking good. It looks like the UK is now stuck with the same level of playing field rules out of the EU and no trade deal from the UK toward the US. Nile, this is not looking great. Trump seems to be right.
Yeah, I have to say you're right on this. I think this deal by Theresa May is an absolute disaster, and it's a hugely unpopular deal. An opinion poll came out this morning which showed less than 20% of the British public actually back it. Within the Conservative Party, Theresa May's own party, there is overwhelming opposition to this deal. We saw the resignation of 2 cabinet ministers today, the resignation of several junior ministers. We're already seeing Conservative MPs queuing up now to condemn this deal as a surrender to the European Union. So I think Theresa May has done an appallingly bad job in terms of the negotiations. She's given the EU practically everything they've asked for. And I have to say it fundamentally undermines British sovereignty and the national interest, including Britain's ability to negotiate free trade agreements across the world, especially with the United States. And so I think all in all, it's been a really bad day here. I do hope that this deal will be defeated in the House of Commons when it goes before a vote on December the 10th. And I think it's highly likely this deal will be defeated. I think it's dead in the water.
So what's happening is, as it stands now, Britain cannot try to outcompete the European Union across the board. They have to adhere to EU rules still indefinitely. This is the no Brexit plan that Theresa May is offering. Is the momentum growing for a vote of no confidence in Theresa May?
It certainly is. And all you need are 48 Conservative MPs who submit letters of no confidence to the chairman of the 1922 committee, Sir Graham Brady. My understanding is that that figure is very nearly reached today. And I think it's very likely that you are going to see a vote of no confidence taking place within the Conservative Party among Conservative MPs. It could happen as soon as the beginning of next week. And I think that Theresa May could be completely defeated here, or she could be heavily wounded by this vote, in which case she has the option of either standing down or struggling to remain as Prime Minister. But it's very clear, I think, the British people have lost confidence in their own Prime Minister. Her own party has lost confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party. And I do think that the Conservatives need new leadership in the United Kingdom, someone who actually fully believes in Brexit and is willing to stand up to the European Union and get a deal that is in the British national interest. And Theresa May simply cannot do that.
This is a deal that is actually good for the EU and not for the British people.
Yes.
That's what Conservatives are saying. You know what else is interesting, too, is that Northern Ireland now gets to abide by a different set of rules than the UK. And so that means that is also shaking the very foundation of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, that's an extremely important point. And this is a bad deal as well for Northern Ireland, which is why the Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP, who basically work in tandem with the Conservatives in order to keep the Conservatives in power at the moment, they're fundamentally opposed to this agreement because it is a very bad deal for Northern Ireland. And I think that, Theresa May has handled these negotiations in an absolutely weak-kneed manner. It's the antithesis of how Margaret Thatcher would have handled these negotiations with the European Union.
What would Margaret Thatcher have done?
Well, Margaret Thatcher would have stood up to the EU. She would have got a deal that was in the British national interest. She would not have sacrificed British sovereignty and self-determination. And Margaret Thatcher, before she passed away in 2013, was a very strong supporter of Britain leaving the European Union. I worked for her myself in a private office. And it was very clear that Margaret Thatcher believed that Britain was far better off outside of the EU, free to shape its own laws, trade and destiny on the world stage. And that's not what Theresa May is delivering at this time. It really is the opposite of how Margaret Thatcher would have handled things.
Nile Gardiner, you're terrific. Come back soon, sir. Great to see you.